It's just, Betty is legendary on the champ. It will be the Airy Annie once again picked up, so do need a bit more early pressure against that Tristana. And Phase Rush on the Gragas as well. He has the Scorch, which he's used to pretty good effect so far, and actually Driver, he needs to be a little careful. There's a few people. He's used E.
The boy's a hair Driver.
Might have to flash this hook.
He is going to flash it. Does get away. But that is costly. This sets up Lakai for a much easier time up in that lane. Admittedly, I think Gragas should stay pretty safe regardless. Has that Phase Rush. Obviously can't really proc that level 1. And, ooh, look at that infographic. Enso.
7-0.
He's not a loser on the Milio. And, I mean, we'll see probably why this game. I wanted to touch on, though, in terms of these comps, is that oftentimes we see the Kai'Sa, and the reason it finds so much success is that it's just able to sit there and poke away at people the whole time. But I think J-Team here have really, really picked so good. They've got so many go-forward options. The Gragas going in, the Sivir enabling that, the Rel being enabled by Sivir as well. And then once you are, if you get onto the Kai'Sa, Tristana has a pretty easy time in following up and being able to take down that Kai'Sa, who is pretty much your whole team's damage. Obviously, there will be a Liandry's Annie doing a little bit, but ultimately the DPS in a team fight should pretty much only be Betty, and as long as you can shut him down, you should feel pretty good about yourself.
We'll see. I feel like this is one of those team comps from Beyond that has potential to deal a lot of damage, right? Sometimes Cassante has those pop-up fights, and Kha'Zix, of course, if he manages to find some isolated picks, can find himself really, really ahead. And carries it. Wow, he's flashing forward already.
Does hook onto Bruce, who is going to have to use that Ghost, but all things considered, remaining fairly high in health and actually trading back some really good damage, popping that heal, forcing Betty to pop his heal as well, as J-Team are going to hit level 3 and just 2 more minions. And so Kara is looking for the proactive play. It was traded for the sums there of J-Team, but ultimately it's an equals... Actually, it's a trade that favors J-Team.
You do think so, especially because they have the sustain and the priority. And I believe this was the patch that Milio got nerfed. So if Milio does remain a power pick, or at least there's some sort of answer, maybe it's something we see more into the Annie, I think that adds a lot more, or more of an interesting dynamic to the bot lane, because there are a few teams, notably J-Team and PSG, that do like the Milio, so it would be nice to have that in the mix as a viable option.
Oh, game paused again? Yeah, I think it is pretty exciting to see the Milio, and I think not only because of the Milio, because it enables the option of Lucian as well. And I just think Lucian's such a fun champion to watch when it is on these really, really good AD carries. Bruce has played a couple games of the Lucian Milio, obviously winning both of them. And I think his biggest pop-off game, which I can't remember how many kills he got, but I think it was 16 as well. It was on the Lucian, and it was a pretty disgusting game from him. Looks like there may be an audio issue with Betty, just guessing.
Well, shouldn't be too far then until we get back into the game. And I think both junglers are clearing towards bot, so I'm not sure if we'll actually see any ganks, but I think both junglers will want to hover, especially now that sums have been burned. And it should remain a hot spot. Top lane is Gragas versus Cassante, so even with that flash burn, probably can't put too much pressure up towards there. Just not much that's going to come of it. But that bot lane, very volatile.
Definitely. Especially now that there's no sums available for the side of Beyond. There is flash on Betty, but everything else is down. Ignite was used, flash from Nautilus was used, as well as Betty's heal, so summoner advantage there for J-Team. Could mean there's something to look for. Obviously, there isn't really much gank set up when you look at the Sivir Milio lane, but just protecting them from the possibility of a gank coming there from the opposite side from Kongyue on the Kha'Zix might just be what you really need to do as Lalva.
Could be. Back into the Rift, though. You know what I'm excited for? I'm excited for Minji's Tristana, because every time I see another Tristana, I start thinking, this champ sucks.
Yeah.
And then Minji plays it, and I'm like, wow, this is broken.
Yeah. He is extremely good at the Tristana. Probably the best Tristana we've seen in the PCS. I mean, what other names would you even put up there with him? It really feels like it's just
having some pop-off performances on Triss, but they weren't, he also had some bad games on Triss.
Whereas Minji,
just every game. Really, really dominant performances on it.
Definitely. Now, you're seeing the Sivir keep priority, will keep priority pretty much the entire game, assuming she doesn't get behind for some reason. I'm at the top. I think we see this pretty constantly with Drivers Gragas. Gets pushed in, freezes the wave at his tower, and has his way with whoever he's up against.
Does feel like the way to go. I'd be surprised if anything ends up happening. Top lane does just feel like it's kind of going to be a snooze fest. Kasante, one of those champs that potentially can just out-sustain Gragas' damage. See, he has the Scorch, but without the comment on top of it, it is going to be more difficult. I wonder if Driver will go to Leandries this game. Oh, because he goes Everfrost pretty much every time, and I think this is also a pretty good Everfrost game, but for dealing with Kasante specifically, the Leandries is probably more valuable, so we'll see how much stock he puts towards that 1v1 as opposed to the team fight.
Yeah, we haven't seen a top Leandries Gragas, I think, since the spring playoffs when Solo Kill did it. Yeah, but admittedly, in that game, I think Solo Kill popped off pretty incredibly. He did like 40k damage in a fairly quick fashion. But Betty got his recall off. Didn't lose too much for it, although is down a couple of CS. Going to slowly push this one back to the Sivir. Bruce picking up a Cull as well as a Longsword. So we still don't really know what build path Bruce is going to go for. It's pretty much going to be either the Kraken or the Static Shiv.
I wouldn't be too surprised if he just goes to Kraken, because I think this will probably be Shiv Tristana, especially with the fleet. And then, of course, have the Gragas for AP damage as well. So I guess it's how much do you value having even more wave clear? Doesn't feel like it's that necessary. Oh, nice dodge from Lakai.
Driver's pretty low on mana. Does have to be a little bit careful. His flash is back up from that level 1, so should feel pretty safe. I think that means he's... I didn't remember the runes, but he should have Inspiration and Cosmic Insight.
Yeah, pretty sure he did. Level 6 picked up there for Driver as well. Looks like mid lane bases come out too, so now eyes on bot lane. What's going to happen with this wave? Should just be crashed. It's hard for J Team to freeze this. They just have a bit too much wave clear. Guess they could try. They're going to hold it here for now, and so takes a little bit of damage there. And Lava is in the area. There's no flash on Keres, so he could be a target, but with the Milio Sivir, they don't really have gank set up. Feels like it can only be a counter gank, as he will get spotted out there.
Kogniwe's location known as well. Defends the pink. I think it should be a pretty quiet start to the game. It does make sense that it's going this way because ultimately both teams want to get some items online. You'd argue maybe if there was a skirmish to break out immediately, it should favor the side of Beyond, and maybe knowing that they are going to look towards this dragon. But I think all things considered, it isn't that Beyond favored. And once sixes come through, you feel like even less so because there is quite a lot of counterplay that the side of J-Team have against Beyond, having that Breath of Life, having the Spell Shield against Nautilus.
Lava, maybe looking for something on bot, or could just be giving them some priority. Beyond need to be careful. I think they do suspect something, and the wave will come to them, so they will most likely be fine. 1116 though, in mid lane. He's getting himself a slight lead, and I'm not sure if you saw, but good bear control allowed him to check the Raptors actually and get confirmation that Lava was on them. I think that is a difference between good Annies and great Annies, is how they use the bear. Big damage straight in the top side. One thing I actually noticed from, I can't remember who was watching, but a lot of Annies just let the bear die really easily, but I noticed that a lot of the better Annie players, they just trade out the bear's HP and then just send it to the back of the lane, let it regen, and then bring it back. So you just always have it live and full HP. Makes it a bit easier to keep clearing those waves. Ooh, hook onto Bruce is spell shielded.
Yeah. Oh, okay, all out coming out here onto Driver. Does have Explosive Cask. Will pop the flash. Lakai going forward. And he is now in a bit of no man's land, but Kongwei comes over and secures the first blood there for the side of Beyond, and now Lava being looked at, going to be knocked up there by the Natofu strikes, and should be Kongwei picking up a second, and in fact it will be, so nice insight and good timing on Kongwei to match that play from the all out there, coming through from Lakai.
Good timing indeed, because that should lead to probably this top jungle taken away, and maybe even the Herald on top of that, so can't understate how big an issue that was there, that Kongwei picks up 2 kills. Super, super important. It's just going to take the blue, I imagine, and then start up his Herald. We'll get a replay of it. Initially, was started by Lakai with the longest all-out ever. See how the engage was found. Was it just all over a cannon creep?
It was after. Oh, and the body slam misses.
Yeah, and Lakai finds the angle. And you wonder if maybe he can find the solo kill. He misses the knock-up, and you think, okay, he's in trouble, but Kongwei over the wall just one-shots Driver before he has the ability to respond. Lava just CC'd up on the way out. And I was kind of suspect of the Kha'Zix pick, But this, if you want it to look good, this is the start you need. He's got his Umbral Glaive, I believe it's called, and the Herald already. So he's really, really strong.
Yeah, definitely. And it should mean the strength coming through from Kazakhs most likely leads them to pick up this dragon as well. You see pings going towards it. Maybe Kongwei wanting some of his jungle first, obviously. Getting those evolves, pretty important. So you want to try and rush to 6, which he is now, obviously, apexed. He's at 7. Next, we'll be looking for 11. He should have the claws upgraded. I think every Kazakhs kind of goes a different route. Sometimes you upgrade the ult, depending on how you want to play team fights. Sometimes, if you're just trying to get in, get out with a quick kill, you go for the upgraded wings. But I think more traditionally, especially because you do have first strike, you're likely to be upgrading that W. Get some poke out there. Also helps with healing.
I think so.
More trades.
It does feel like there is kind of a point in this matchup where Driver won't be able to deal enough damage to Lakai. And maybe it's already reached that point. There's still decent damage being done. I mean, the Kastante wall's on half HP, but Gragas, I think, is normally the one that's ahead in lane just because he has so much poke, has so much sustain, often can force the opponent to base first. Speaking of basing first, it was Minji who was forced to base first in mid, and 116 is doing a great job of CSing, 112 at 10 minutes. Into a Tristana, not something you often see. We'll be going for the Leandries, which I like. Having more AP damage is really good, and I think Rylai's as well against a short-range composition goes a long way. Looks like it will be the Kraken, I believe, on Bruce.
It is going to be Kraken, yep, and it is going to be Shiv as well for Tristana. All out coming through again. Driver trying to get away from it. He does use that explosive cask, and now Larva's here. Phase Rush also procced from the Gragas. Kongwei in the area, though. Do have to be careful. This all out will last. Larva trying to find something here. Does have access to that Magnet Storm. All out stop, but it's so close. Driver will go down. The W snipes him away, and now Larva headed for the hills, running away. And on the bottom side of our screen, we see there that it was 116 who rotates down bot, finds himself a kill. And now Minji's going forward. He dives under the tower. It is a nice buster shot. He's going to pick up that shutdown. And this is the power we talk about when we talk about Minji's Tristana. Finds himself some much-needed gold, keeping himself in this game after the roam coming through from 1116.
Was just action all across the Rift. I'm not sure if 1116 roamed bot or if he just straight TP'd. It was hard to tell. I'm sure we'll get a replay of it, but either way, was kills across the board. I think Minji getting this shutdown onto Kongwei is a really big deal. Having your Tristana ahead, especially when it's Minji's Tristana, is really, really nice. It's unfortunate that he can't stay around for any plates, but probably with that gold picked up, will have his Shiv.
And it did look so close to a double kill as well. I mean, maybe we'll see it at the end of this replay, but there was so much going on everywhere.
Look, I think he maybe went in a bit too early, but I guess he just wasn't expecting Jungler to be here whatsoever. And was pretty close to that recall coming out. I feel like the all-out as well, you know, again, maybe popped a little too early. I think you probably want to wait until after the phase rush is gone to fully commit to something like this, because the cooldown is long enough that you can take advantage of it, but he lost a lot of health before Kongwei can get here. And while they did manage to get Driver, they're left on extremely low health bars, overcommitted maybe just a bit much before recognizing that Minji could come up here. Okay, so it was a TP behind coming out from the Annie, and I think what is important about this is there was a lot invested, and Bruce didn't die.
Yeah.
So he's still going to able to farm this wave up without too much trouble. He's got a nice CS lead for himself.
Yeah, I think when you talk about these team comps as well, I think it's important to note that while both teams scale pretty well, it does, at least in my mind, favor J-Team. And they also have an incredibly scary comp to push into. It feels almost impossible unless you have that Baron and such an advantage to ever really siege against the server, against the Trist, even against the Gragas.
It's true. I think a lot of this game will come down to what Betty can get done, because the rest of the map is starting to do very well, but Betty is falling a little behind in bot lane. He's still going to get his items on time, so it shouldn't really be anything to worry about, but that Kraken now comes through from Sivir. You think Betty should probably have his Shiv here as well, just in time for a Dragon 2 minutes away. Beyond did already get both neutrals, so off to a good start in that regard. And with the Shiv now, Minji should be starting to tie things up in that mid lane CS. Looks like he's going towards the Merc Treads. Just does not want to get CC'd up by that Annie.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Especially in the isolated 1v1, 1v1 even. Does mean that if Annie looks for you for like a flash tippers or just a stun, then you do have a higher chance of getting out, especially if Enso's not in the area. Now, lane swaps coming through. We're going to see the bot lanes head now mid. It is going to be 30 seconds now until that Rift Herald spawns and a minute until the Dragon spawns. And obviously giving over first objectives here. I think it was the right decision by J-Team, but I don't think they're going to want to give over both this time. But what option do they really have? I mean, it's going to be pretty hard to contest. They should be able to contain the mid lane and get push for themselves, having that Sivir. But is that going to lead to anything, really? It's hard to tell.
Because they do get prio bot lane as well with a Shiv Tristana. So if they have mid and bot prio, even if they don't win the straight up 5v5, if they can just keep control of the river, it could be pretty hard for Beyond to get in without losing so much health that it's no longer worth it. Alternatively, there is a trade up. They can just do the Herald and give over the second drag. And maybe don't even need to. They're starting this up 20 seconds in advance, so there could be time. They do have some tempo, but they don't have a lot of DPS on this.
Kira's headed up. Obviously, it is known that they're there. That pink ward will be spotting this, and the next ward goes down. That's not going to see anything. But it should be the hero picked up by J-Team. Are they going to be quick enough to be able to head down bot? They have Sivir still in this mid wave, although leaving now means maybe the next wave does go in favor of Beyond. Rift Shield, though, ultimately picked up. Driver gets back to his top side to be able to defend his tower. And now Dragon being started by Kongyue. Kha'Zix with that upgraded Q will pretty much just one-shot it, but not without a trade. This is the second Herald, so a lot of damage will be done here to this mid tower, but certainly not enough to take it out straight up.
Getting some poke on it, though, feels really, really good. And that definitely can be dived later on if Beyond are not careful. Kongyue, he's taking away a lot of these jungle camps and is building a sizable lead over Larva, but the thing with the Rel is it's always going to find impact pretty much no matter what. Aren't too worried about it falling that far behind. Going to grab a red here as well.
I'm very close to that 11. I think Beyond won't really want to fight until Kha'Zix does hit level 11 because you're missing out on so much strength that you get from those upgrades. May as well just wait a little bit. Betty should be going and pick up that red soul. Does in fact do so. So red buff acquired, taken away from Larva, given to both Betty and Kongyue. That feels really nice.
Maybe looking for something here as J-Team. For now, at least, it will just be control around this bot side river. This tower, I think you might be able to break both mid and bot tier 1s here if you're aggressive about it. They should probably know that resets have come through from Beyond. Looks like they're going to set their sights on that bot tier 1 first. They're going to walk down here, allow Minji to push that bot lane safely. He should be able to pick it up, which will be a nice little bit of gold. Can probably equalize it with Beyond. Maybe they're not going to let them.
Does flash forward. It is going to be that Sivir hunt. On the hunt being used. There is speed coming through, and Lakai jumping onto Minji. All out used. It's a really weird interaction. It's Buster shot, trying to keep himself alive. He's very, very low. Doesn't manage to get a reset, but Lakai's having a flash over the wall, and Minji, despite being on 1 HP, has remained alive. It's a team fight there. It's only one found, but ultimately it's a win there for J-Team.
So 1 for 1,
Minji
actually.
goes down,
yeah. He died of the Leandries. So... But that was really weird with the All Out and the Tristana W. It's hard to say if that was a spectator bug or if that's actually how that works because it did look really, really strange. This Annie's getting to be a bit of a problem, though. And one thing that you might wonder is that, of course, Bruce has the Milio ult, but he doesn't have a cleanse of his own. So if that ult is wasted, you wouldn't think it'll be used on anything except the Annie ult. But if there's a way to get it out beforehand, would mean the 1116 can find a lot of value.
Yeah, I think at best you've used it because you need to heal up someone desperately, but that, I mean, if that's happening, you've done something horribly wrong. Yeah, I want to see this all-out interaction.
Let's say this. So he goes for the TP behind, and you pretty much think that when Minji is going for this, especially if he's caught near a wall, that he is just going to get caught by Cassante, taken through the wall and he's going to die. But I guess he went, yeah, I don't know. It looks like it just followed it, kind of like Warwick Q, but... I'm not even sure. Lakai did a really good job of flashing out there because if he had let Minji, I'm not sure if he has Triumph. I can't remember. He might have had Overheal, but would have got that heal, of course.
Yeah. Oh well. There's going to be obviously a 1 for 1 in that trade. Should be this tower, going down. It was the bot tower picked up as well.
Now Minji's getting some work on this top tower. Does need to be careful with Kerez in the area, but it's pretty low. and it will go down soon enough. That'll be more gold into his pocket, which is very, very nice. 2 minutes on the third drag, and this is one that J-Team are going to have to fight. You wonder if they're ready for it. They don't have 2 items yet on Minji, but Bruce is looking very, very strong. At the same time, the Rylai's on 1116 so early is going to be pretty hard to deal with. A lot of the time, the Annie ends up, not picking up the kills, not having as much CS, and really just taking that backseat role. But with 1116, it's not really the case. He is a very credible damage threat for his team. Just a minute away now. There's no TP up on the BYG solo laners. J-Team as well.
There's a lot of protection around this top tower. Minji has to be very, very careful. Kira's waiting in the wing, and 116 there as well means that if he were to be caught out, would pretty much go down immediately. And now Lalva and Minji are both here on the top side. I don't think they're going to want to be here for too long because there is no teleport for this Tristana, and the dragon, as you said, third dragon doesn't feel the greatest to give over. I wonder if there's ever an angle. I mean, they have 280 carries for them to just try and rush down the Baron. They have Milio as well, which adds to the damage.
They could try.
I think they'd have the damage as long as Beyond don't immediately react.
Pretty much, yeah. And they do have, admittedly, pretty good disengage as well. Driver could keep them away for a pretty long time. It's not like he adds a lot of DPS to that Baron. The way they're positioning, though, J-Team, they're at least dropping wards around the bot side. Need to be a bit careful, though. As 1116, he's starting to walk down, and Driver probably will match. Driver's TPing early, so it looks like it will be a full-on contest. Currently, BYG with the control. Need to get that Annie into a position where she can find some sort of engage. Kongyue.
Yeah. J-Team will just constantly have mid-pressure, though. It's impossible to push against the server. They're looking at Lakai. It is going to be a lot used. 116, not really having the angle for the Tibbers. Is just going to use it there onto Lalva. Does he not have the Magnet Storm? He uses it right now, and it's Minji who picks up the first one, but Betty picks up one for himself, and now Kongyue trying to jump away as Lakai gets blast coned in. Will find Driver. It's the all-out. It's the killer instinct, but Minji finds himself a second. Bruce is getting very, very low. Flashes away. It's going to be another kill. Triple kill now for Minji on this Tristana as the Void Seekers continue to land, but not enough damage. It's 3 kills for Minji, 2 kills for Beyond, and it's another team fight win for the side of J-Team, but now the Dragon being looked at. Do they have what it takes to stop it? It feels like with the health bars so low, they don't really have any way to stop this Dragon from going down at least.
No, it looks like there are pings towards that top tower, so most likely we'll just be giving this Dragon away. So while it was a team fight win, and I think kills onto Minji are very, very valuable, now Dragon Soul win condition on the cards for Beyond. So it was BYG who were posturing around this bot river, and I think there was a bit of a misplay here with the bear from Annie. We'll have a look, but I think there's not much point using more damage onto Rel unless you can kill her before anything gets off. But she has Aftershock here. She's so tanky. Even with Chain CC, you're never going to kill her before the Magnet Storm goes off, which is exactly what happened. And now, you see, you kind of lack damage into a team comp that really wants a sustained fight. I think Lakai played this fight really, really well. But, yeah, I mean, there's just these 280 carries with their Milio are a bit too strong. Need to be able to burst them out, but can't. It looks like picture-in-picture, we've had something go on. A lot of low health bars across the board. Minji and Lalva lost their flashes. It looks like it came at the cost of Kongyue, so I'm not too sure what happened there.
Yeah, maybe we'll get a replay of that. I want to say I'm kind of surprised that Lalva didn't just use the Magnet Storm a little earlier, because he ultimately didn't find that much with it anyway, and at least proccing that Radiant Virtue keeps him up for a little longer, because he pretty much saw that as soon as he used it was when he died. So you feel like if you had to use it slightly earlier, get some Radiant healing, might have even helped the rest of the team where you saw them so low. The extra 200 health it offers could have been a bit of a difference maker in losing that Dragon, but ultimately it was not to be. Something that we could perhaps look towards later. He does pick himself up an Abyssal Mask now, which is a very nice item, especially once you are up against the AP Kai'Sa, the Annie, and it does help Driver do a little bit more damage in these fights as well.
That is true. The Void Staff on 1116 would be nice if you can get it completed. It's only on the Blighting Jewel for now, but with a Hex Drinker on Bruce, that damage is going to be really nice, and that is the worry that you might have with having a Kai'Sa and Annie on the same team. Mercs and any MR value is very, very high. And there's not a lot of sustained AD. Really, there's Kha'Zix, but it's hard to deal a lot of the time. And K'Sante, of course, but can't really deal AoE. Just will be single target for the most part.
Definitely. Now, Vision Control, the name of the game. a lot being afforded here to J-Team as they do just continuously get prio in whichever lane Minji and Bruce are in, which feels pretty nice, makes the game a whole lot easier to play around. See, Bruce is really getting his items online, as well as Minji obviously picking up those 3 kills, getting very close to that LDR, which is a massive item break point, which allows him to quickly kill this Nautilus, quickly kill the Cassante. We do get a replay of what happened up here.
116 just strolls up, and I'm very surprised. Oh, yeah, I was going to say, I don't know how on earth Minji made it out of this, but stunning that creep was huge. He lived. Didn't have to burn the flash, but I believe Minji has a shutdown, so that would have been a lot of gold picked up, and going over to the Kazakhs, it would have probably, and that would have been really big. So now, oh, Minji, he's actually hitting the Baron in vision. You mentioned that LDR coming in from Minji. It will help him deal with Lakai a lot easier, but it does mean that he's lacking both sustain for the poke or any sort of magic resist for the burst. So he's going to have to play these team fights very well. And to Minji's credit, he normally does on the Tristana. And other than Dragons, everything else pretty even here. Just a minute and a half away, though. And this is one that Beyond could just DPS down the Baron and trade if they wanted. They have a lot of DPS with that Kai'Sa and the Kazakhs.
I think to Minji's credit, he does have that Radiant Virtue on the Rel. Also does have a lot of healing that can come through from Melio and shields as well. So it feels a little bit easier to not have to go early into any form of lifesteal. But certainly, I mean, once you get to those 4 items, I expect the 4th item to be one of the Shield Bow or the Mercurial Skim... I mean, not the Mercurial Scimitar.
The BT?
The Hex Drinker. I mean, even the BT, yeah. One of those 3 items is probably what he would look towards.
He has MR from Mercs already, so I think you'd likely get more sustain, but who knows. 45 seconds, though, and this could be a very make-or-break team fight. Feels like if J-Team pick it up, they buy the time that they need to just continue to scale, and maybe BYG's window in this game closes. Alternatively, if BYG win this, they might just find themselves snowballing really far ahead, because whoever wins this fight, especially if they win it decisively, probably picks up the Baron straight after. So big spikes now completed. It is more on Bruce, Void on the Annie, and the Rage Blade on Betty.
Oh, and the LDR's completed.
Yeah, lots of spikes. Just in time, really.
Yep, Zhonya's as well. Here for Driver, who is now at 2 items, while Lakai sits there at 1 and 2 halves. Okay. Kind of interesting build path.
Beyond have control. Driver's maybe looking for some sort of flank angle here, which I do like. Lava, he's taking a little bit of damage, but nothing to dissuade him from engaging. Slowly regaining the control, and the rest of Beyond have to come around. They've gotten here pretty late.
There is a blast plant. Are they going to actually take that away? Kongyue's shield will be taken off of him as Lava positioning aggressively. You have to find a way in before losing all your health to this Kai'Sa poke, and admittedly, Lava has the MR and the Radiant Virtue. Bruce, though, capping them, and 1116 goes forward. He finds Driver on the side. It's now a 4v5 as everything's being used onto Minji. He's so low and will be going down. And now it's damage control. Enso and Bruce running for their lives. Lakai, as well as Lava, fighting on there in the Dragon's Pit. It's a triple kill now for Betty. Betty's trying to get more. Void Seeker will miss, but teamfight win there. Massive teamfight win, in fact, for the side of Beyond, as they're still looking for Lava. Doesn't manage to make it over that wall. Will go down. It's a 4-0 there, as well as Dragon Soul acquired for Beyond as they head towards this Baron.
Should just be absolutely everything here from Beyond. They take jungle camps, they take the Dragon, the Baron, and of course, 4 kills to none. And that was a huge team fight, which, while I think Betty played it very, very well, it all started with 1116's Annie just finding that flash engage onto Driver. And when he has the Zhonyas, you know that if you're going for that, you have to burst him out before he can get it off. And Betty, he had the follow-up. We'll check it here. I think this was really bold because Driver's not even the most important target on this team. So you do have to get the one shot, because if you don't, you're down a lot of cooldowns and you're now mispositioned. But decisiveness, the name in the game. Immediately take him out, and you can see the hook found onto Minji, and a lot of damage that comes in onto him. And I think Betty, on the tail end of this fight, did play it very, very well. He even found something more. You know, it looks like it might be over here, but manages to flash forward, gets the kill onto Bruce, and manages to disengage. Admittedly, after Bruce goes down, there's not a lot of damage remaining, but that's a huge, huge win for Beyond. It should be a massive gold lead for them now. They take away everything they want and get some stopwatches too.
Yep. Game getting a little bit out of control now for J-Team after that last fight. Obviously, honestly, the fact they're only down 5k kind of surprises me, but it is the case. Obviously, pretty slow up until that point.
Jungle CS is getting a bit out of control.
Definitely.
It is pretty hard now for Lava because his carries will take the camps, and also you just don't have a lot of control over your jungle anyway.
Yeah, and now we're pushing with Baron. I want to say, even though you have Baron, whatever lane Sivir's in, you don't really get to push, although you can look for these dives. But you're seeing it on your screen, even though you have Baron, Sivir is just annihilating the minion wave. The lane Minjian, not going to take as much damage. The static shiv certainly doesn't do as much. Minji being looked at, though. It is Kongwei going forward. Is going to have to pop that ult. Does get away. But it is an important cooldown used nonetheless. Minji not having to use anything but the rocket jump. Should be okay to just go back, heal on up. They might lose this bot lane inner for it, however.
We'll see. Sivir probably does have to leave this tower. I think it'd be pretty bold to walk up. Bruce realizes that would be a bit of trouble, so wisely walks away. As another one goes down. But that might be it, honestly. Okay, they TP towards top, so it looks like they will just swap over to that. I think maybe can take one more tier 2, and that'll probably be it. But do have that Elder to play towards, and I don't think it's an unwinnable fight for J-Team, even with the Soul and even with the gold lead. Surely it's BYG favored, but I don't think it's completely one-sided at this point. Benji is going towards the lifesteal, but I wonder if it's actually going to matter. Just because it feels like a lot of these fights aren't even coming down to poke. It's really just coming down to engage burst and being able to live that. Resets do come in. Overall, a 5k Baron power play, which on top of the gold they got from actually winning, you know, that team fight around the dragon, should be even more.
Look at all the zombie wards.
Yeah, wow. So many. Betty just picked up a Void, by the way, so I think he just wants to absolutely delete Lava, and then once that front line is gone, have easier access to those 80 carries.
We'll see if that pans out. Obviously, in the last fight, it didn't really matter. It was just Driver going down immediately, and you feel like maybe that's something you could look for again, because it's pretty easy to follow up on the any-engage if you are Kai'Sa.
3 stopwatches for Beyond, all for this Elder fight, and I think that's really important, because sometimes, actually fairly often, a single stopwatch can turn a fight around. So having 3 of them gives you a lot of immediate teamfight power. On top of the Soul, maybe it's not the strongest Soul, but it's definitely power. Again, on top of an already existing gold lead.
I wonder if there's a world where you can delay the Elder Dragon enough for you to take the Baron, or like threaten Baron to get them away from it. Because if you get Baron as J-Team, the Elder Dragon won't matter, because you can just continuously wave clear. The Baron lasts longer than the Elder. And wow, that Void Seeker just took half of Enso's house.
Poor guy. It is the chains on the Kai. I imagine he's put them on Minji, but could also be Bruce just for the AoE. I think it's a good decision, though. It's going to make him a lot harder to kill. And just a lot less damage out in the fight in general, especially because he is the frontliner. Minute and 20 away. And I think it is going to be pretty hard for J-Team to contest this. Even if they can, in theory, have a chance at winning the fight, it's just really hard to get there. You can see the stranglehold over vision that Beyond have right now. And not a comp that you'd want to face check into. Even your tanks here, Lava and Driver, they're not that tanky at this point, now that the carries do have those pen items.
Yep, Kha'Zix's fully upgraded now too, feels pretty scary. Betty picking up himself a red buff. This will be uncontested. There's no way you can ever face check into that.
Somewhat late recall comes out of Kongwei, but he grabs a full GA, does not have the stopwatch, and sometimes you actually prefer the stopwatch over the GA, but obviously GA has a lot more stats, and it's a lot easier to use.
Yeah, well, I guess the value that you get in stopwatch is that you're able to use it when you need, whereas GA just happens almost when it's too late, sometimes you feel. So now, LDR completed on Bruce. That is a massive item to have been finished as well. Kongwei jumping into that pit. It is teleport coming through from Likai. 5v5 on our hands here over this Elder Dragon, which is spawning in just 10 seconds. Now, as I said earlier, Baron not long after it. If you are able to stall out and try and look for the Baron as J-Team, then the Elder Dragon can kind of just go to no use. Likai holding this minion wave to try and get some fake, almost mid-prio. It's not going to happen though. This Elder Dragon has been started up. Kyrres and the rest of the team blocking off as Betty making quick work, really.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of damage.
All driver, though, looks for Kyrres. Minji's jumping in. There's going to be so much used all out here. Found onto Bruce, and Enso's trying to kite. Lakai will take down Bruce. The Soul's being too useful. Minji, though, still alive. There is an 80 carry up. 116 might not live. That bomb does go down. Minji gets a reset from that, and it's 3v4. Minji trying to kite away. Might have to just use a rocket jump very, very shortly. Buster Shot comes out first, though, and Minji inevitably was found. It's an ace. It's a 5-for-1 here for Beyond, and they're going to take game number 1.
Yep, we'll be just able to walk down to this bot wave and pick it all up. So J-Team, maybe not the way we expected the series to start, but wow, Beyond really came to play. And this makes things a lot more interesting because, you were worried that it would be a 3-0 to J-Team. I was thinking, J-Team, they come in the favorites, but Betty might carry a game. But honestly, while Betty played very well this game, I think 1-1-1-6 and Lakai put up a really good performance.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I think Lakai found perfect angles pretty much on most of those team fights as the Cassante, and starting the game off by picking up